Hello, hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have, from the After Hours Gaming League, League A Division 1, we have Facebook versus IBM. This is going to be an awesome game. Game number 1, and just a little bit of backstory. These two teams have actually played each other before in Season 2 of After Hours Gaming League in the round of 8, and actually IBM ended up winning it just narrowly, squeaking into the playoffs, so definitely going to be seeing some revenge from Facebook, or at least they're going to be looking for. We'll have to see if they can do it. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump in and introduce the players. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg representing Team IBM. It is going to be IBM's Shusaku. And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map as the red Terran. It's going to be representing Team Facebook. It's going to be Facebook's Lozzle. And just a couple of notes, actually, this match is really quite important for both of these teams, as it could really play a huge role in deciding where they're going to end up in those group stages, as Facebook really wants to take this win, since that'll put them actually into the 4th position in the Division 1. And, you know, fourth position out of 8 teams, that's actually pretty good. That means you're the top half. You're better than the average. And, of course, IBM looking to take that 2nd position alongside Amazon. They're going to be competing with it, or for it, this week. So they definitely want to do that, as that'll greatly increase their chances of qualifying. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just take a look at what these two players are doing. It looks like a pretty normal opening from the Terran player, although he did go for this earlier Gas Geyser. This does imply he wants to put on a little bit of pressure. Might be seeing some kind of Reaper opening. And actually, we did see in previous After Hour Gaming League, in Season 3, not Season 2. So it was Heart of the Swarm, of course. But he did actually end up playing a Terran versus Zerg a few weeks ago against National Instruments' SGT York. And it was a little bit of a weird game, but he did seem to prefer that bio style play. So if he does end up opening up with those Reapers, wouldn't be too surprised to see him continue into that bio style of play. In the meanwhile, we have IBM's Shusaku, who is currently 2-1 in the After Hours Gaming League, but he has actually played a Zerg versus Terran that he won. And he played it against Ernst Young's Illini, and in that game he kind of just went for a 2-base, very fast Mutalisk play, and after that he kind of expanded and took a third a little bit after he started doing some Mutalisk harassment, and it worked out really well for him. He was able to get a nice lead and ended up winning that game. So let's see if he goes for a similar build, but in the meanwhile, we do see here's that Reaper opening that's going to be coming across the map, as the first Reaper does make its way down over here. He does have this nice little cliff edge over here that he can kind of jump up into the base in case those Zerglings try and chase him, but we're going to have to wait and see how good is his micro. The Zerglings are on creep, so they should actually be able to do some nice damage to that Reaper, but the Reaper will regenerate its health very, very quickly once it's outside of combat, and there it does go back over to the natural expansion. You're going to see how much damage you can do, but the Queen is going to come out. Nice control from Lozzle, keeping that Reaper alive. He's going to be able to just send it to a nice safe place. Going to have to be careful not to lose it to the Zerglings, but does end up starting to recover some of that health as another Reaper does make its way across the map. This Reaper does go down, and there his corpse will be laid a waste on the ramp. Poor little blood stain so far away from the body. It's like the body actually just got dislodged, but all the blood stayed in place and then just landed. It just fell in place. But of course, with that being said, quite a few Reapers actually already out, but in the meanwhile, we do finally see that transition. We actually see a pretty fast factory for the most part if he is going to be going for some sort of bio style play, but he does have 2 Gas Geysers out and his expansion is up. So he could actually be going for some kind of mech style play, and that wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world. We'll only have to wait and see what he makes out of that factory, as he is making a Widow Mine. But here, a little flurry of Zerglings just going across the map, seeing how much scouting they can do, and it looks like this Zergling not going to chill at the Zone Watchtower. He has a fear of tall buildings, so he's actually not going to decide to grab it. He's just going to stand next to it. Eventually, he'll work up the courage to actually go in there, but no, in reality, Shusaku is busy trying to micro against these very annoying Reapers, but now with these 2 Queens out, as long as he doesn't get too far off creep, he should be okay. And Reapers are regenerating that health. You can see a little glow eventually taking over their entire bodies. apparently comes only on their shoulders and then their heads. So nice little touch from those Blizzard employees. In the meanwhile, whoa, that is a really cool animation for creep tumors. We do see some creep spreading, and that's going to really allow Shusaku to be a little bit more aggressive against any kind of Hellion harass or anything of the sort. And we actually don't see Hellion harass, though. We see a Widow Mine out on the map, so this could be very, very annoying. A Widow Mine actually does quite a substantial amount of damage. We'll have to wait and see. Does Shusaku get ready in time? Yes, he is attacking that Widow Mine. He actually does not get the Widow Mine, though, as two queens do have a bit of a hard time trying to take that out in time. In the meanwhile, we do see a relatively fast lair, and actually this is, with all of this gas and also that very fast 2-base lair, it's starting to look like he might actually be going for that Mutalisk transition once again. So Shusaku kind of sticking to his guns. Nice pick off on the creep tomb over there, and this Widow Mine going to be super duper annoying for, I guess, Shusaku to try and get that creep spread out any further. Here we do end up seeing some nice group of Marines that are going to be trying to put on a little bit of pressure. He does only have those Marines coming out of those 3 barracks, only just now going to be getting those tech labs and the reactor. Going to be transitioning into an eventual bio-style play, the reactor on that their starport. But for now, he's going to try and put on some aggression. These Marines do not have combat shield or stim because those tech labs were not finished up. So it could be a little bit difficult. He does do a nice job of taking out all the active creep tumors and not quite able to get this creep tumor. This creep tumor sitting at exactly 1 HP, but it will regenerate health amazingly because creep tumors also organic things, I guess, and living, and I guess they do eventually repair themselves. But we do end up seeing or hearing a scan going down somewhere. I'm not really too sure where, as I didn't really see any additional creep tumors getting picked off. But wow, look at this number of Zerglings. He's going to be going straight over to the base of Lozzle. Lozzle trying to get out some supply depots. This actually could be very, very dangerous, as it looks like Lozzle also trying to push into the front. Not quite able to do it against that massive Roach count. Now the Zerglings realize, oh my god, these supply depots are not actually finished. They cannot actually be repaired. So he's just going to go ahead and move in, try and see how much damage he can actually do over here. At the same time, there's engagement over here with the Roaches. Really, really cleaning up quite a bit, especially with the Overseer over there, able to take out those Widow Mines. The Zerglings do end up finally getting kind of thwarted for a little bit, as that one Marine, how many kills does that one Marine have? It is 3 kills, so still a recruit, but still doing a fantastic job. Unfortunately, all those units, though in the medevac, did have to get picked up and retreat home. He only got away with about 7 of those units, but he did get away with the Reapers, actually. That's kind of a nice little save, but I mean, is it going to be enough? He needs to throw down some bunkers immediately. And more importantly, does he even know that this is going to be happening? He does have a siege tank. And the theory for all Terrans is that if you have 2 siege tanks on the high ground, you can defend against an infinite number of Roaches. I'm not actually sure if this is going to be true, as I mean, really, right now, he only does have that 2nd siege tank out now, and of course, he did not need to research siege mode, because this is Heart of the Swarm. But this is still going to be a very, very difficult hold with so few Marines. Hey, the Zergling made it into the base, so I guess his life's goal was technically complete. He just is dead now. But there we do end up seeing those Roaches taking some really big hits from those siege tanks, and they're going to have to be super duper careful, especially moving up against this Wallen. And, you know, I think he's not going to really be trying too much for this. We do end up seeing a medevac trying to see how much damage you can do. But, in fact, there is no 3rd base up quite yet, and we're going to see an unload over here from Lozzle, able to pick off the drone that was going to become the 3rd base. So that is a really nice pickoff. That's going to really put Lozzle into a comfortable position. But in the meanwhile, what do we end up seeing? We see the Spire is on its way. It just now finishes up. And that means Mutalisk incoming. He does have quite a bit, or had a bit of gas saved up. Going to be able to make 6 Mutalisks immediately. But look at this, a really nice pickoff from Shusaku, only really able to get out of there with a single Marine and that medevac, not quite paying attention to it. Didn't really see all those Roaches coming up, but now we're going to see him moving out across the map. This is going to be very, very tense, because, I mean, this is really quite a small force. He's going to have to be super duper careful to make sure he does not get caught out of position. If those siege tanks are caught unsieged, this will actually just spell the end of his game, potentially. I think that Shusaku could actually potentially just move straight in and A-move over to Lozzle's base if Lozzle ends up losing this army unfavorably. But with that being said, we do not actually see any upgrades out on Shusaku's units just quite yet. He is going for that +1 flyer attacks over there in the Spire, as well as the Carapace for those Zerglings. That's going to be very, very useful, especially against that Marine force. But we do end up having +1 weapons on those siege tanks and +1/+1 on the bio ball, with +2 just now starting for the weapons and for those armor upgrades. So going to be a little bit ahead in the upgrades for Lozzle. Lozzle really looking to be in a good position, even has that 3rd command center on the way around the same time actually as his opponent's hatchery, which is really not a position that Shusaku wants to be in at this point. Shusaku's going to have to make something happen with these mules, and it looks like he's doing a pretty good job, doing some nice harassment, going to force all of these units into a little bit, oh god, all the SCVs trying to run away, and all the Terran Bioball units trying to get into the base. So not really quite working out too well over there, as those SCVs do need to get back to mining at some point. There we do end up seeing them finally going back to it. But I mean, not a whole lot of workers killed. Really just a lot of mining time loss is what I guess Shusaku's really gaining right now. But I feel like he might have to make a little bit more happen. He's behind in upgrades. His 3rd is very much delayed from where he would likely want it to be. But he is going for a faster 4th expansion. So if he can get into the game long enough to allow that to pay off, he should actually be in a pretty decent position. But he does have to do a good job of also defending against these drops. He has a nice little group of roaches and Zerglings over here, though. So he should actually be able to deal with this drop fairly easily, as I mean, yeah, they do end up loading straight back into the medevac and not really doing too much. As Lozzle does try to move out, it looks like he's going to be going to the top zone like a watchtower, which is kind of an interesting decision. It looks like he's then going to maybe look to loop around and try and take out this 3rd expansion. It's kind of interesting decision since he did decide to just try and drop over at that expansion, so we should expect units over there. But I mean, it's going to work out well for him just because Shusaku actually has most of his army over at these bottom Xel'Naga Watchtower. He's going to be a little bit unprepared. That's going to allow Lozzle to actually get up these siege tanks, siege them up, and get ready for the giant influx of Zerg units that will eventually come. He is almost certainly actually going to be able to get and pick off this expansion, though, and that's going to be very, very harmful for Shusaku's economy, as I mean, he is only just now getting up this hatchery. He's not even started to mine from it, just now getting up the gas geysers as well, and now he's going to end up losing this expansion. In the meanwhile, the Terran player has already gotten up his 3rd, going to start to mine from it as well, so he's going to be sitting in a very comfortable position, especially since +2/+2 is about to finish, so he should actually have it for this next engagement if Shusaku does decide to go for it. And I mean, he has Banelings with +1 Carapace. He should actually be able to theoretically keep this army either here, trapped, or he should be able to just clean it up. And here we end up seeing none of the siege tanks are sieged up. That could actually be a huge detriment. None of the Banelings are actually able to be split against, and all of the Marine Bioball just immediately evaporates. Oh my god. That was such a bad position for Lozzle. Unfortunately for him, he ends up losing almost everything. A single medevac gets back home to tell the tale to the rest of the Bioball units, saying what a horrible, horrible thing just happened. But I don't think that one medevac is going to be enough to really save him from this incoming push, as there are still quite a good number of mules and a good number of roaches, but he does have some nice numbers of those hellbats, and those hellbats have been proven to be very, very effective against a lot of those hatchery tech Zerg units, and Zergs have been struggling a little bit with those hellbats, especially in those big engagements, especially Zerg players who tend to focus a little bit more on Zerglings. They tend to say, you know, oh, it's so annoying, I can't really engage straight up against Hellbats, so you have to be super duper careful. And look at this. Looks like there is, in fact, a Hellbat drop trying to come in, but nope! Shusaku has some great map awareness, able to spot those drops with those Overlords, and immediately picks it off with those Mules. A nice win for Shusaku, who, I mean, on top of winning that big engagement over at the top side, despite losing his hatchery, was very, very much worth it. And we can actually see in the supply count, 187 supply to 142. So Shusaku really going to be feeling quite comfortable. Things are looking good for Team IBM. In the meanwhile, we do end up seeing a large number of Mutals with +2 weapons actually already researched. So they're going to be able to do some very, very nice harassment, especially against these 2 or 3 turrets. Where's the third turret? Third turret's over here, so we will actually be able to pick that off very, very quickly. But really, those turrets just exist to buy time so that Lozzle can eventually get those Marines out over to the main base. But those Marines are so far behind. And look at this. The SCVs are just getting picked off so freaking fast. It is not even funny. They're trying to repair the engineering bay, keep those upgrades going, as he has invested so much time into those upgrades. But look at that, 28 SCVs already killed now at this point in the game. He just killed about 25 of those right now, and now he's going to get out with only losing really 2 Mutals and getting about 2 Mutals a little bit lower on health. So a very, very nice trade for our resident Zerg player, and now he's going to be sitting 70 drones against 30 SCVs. I mean, what more could you ask for in his Zerg versus Terran right now? And I feel like the big thing is going to be holding off any kind of big aggression now that the Terran player might actually end up throwing at you at this point. As long as you can do that, and oh my god, if you can get a couple of mules, I mean, who's going to complain? And look at this, Lozzle saying, forget it, lost cause, not even going to bother. Does finally end up stemming a couple of units to try and take out those mules because he wants at least some economy. He wants some reinforcement of Marines back up this army, but he has to be so careful. The siege tanks are unsieged, but the banelings actually behind the roaches, not able to get out the shots that they really might want to, but unfortunately for Shusaku, he does not have enough to actually deal with all of that big splash damage from the Hellbats and the siege tanks. As even though he ended up catching some of those siege tanks unsieged, the banelings just being behind the roaches really hurt his ability to actually deal a whole lot of damage to that bio ball army, and they just took a little bit too much splash damage from those siege tanks before they were actually able to hit. But now we do end up seeing a baneling going off on the Hellbat, not quite able to take him out, but that means that this base is most certainly going to fall, and there it does go down. A couple of these units are also likely going to be picked off very quickly. But here we go. The banelings coming in. Some really nice baneling hits. That was actually exactly what Shusaku needed. He does end up cleaning up that army. Only the medevacs left over, and now the mules can come in and start to clean up that army. But the question is, does Shusaku still have enough bases to mine from? He does still have a little bit of mining over here at the natural expansion. More importantly, he does still have a good 1,400 gas still left over at that natural expansion. Still has his 3rd up, and recently got up his 4th expansion. He's going to be able to retake his 5th expansion at the same time. So he does still have a pretty decent mining economy. We can even see in the income tab. Still doing pretty well. Now, it looks like the Terran is doing okay in economy, but in reality, it's really just mules right now. And he's only really mining off his 3rd expansion. Now we do end up seeing the big engagement going down once again as Shusaku just comes in, cleans up those siege tanks with those mules. Even though the mules count has dwindled quite heavily down to just 4 mules, it is enough to actually just do a substantial amount of damage. The roaches also able to do a ton of damage with those +1 carapace upgrades, able to soak up some of those damage, or some of that fire from those +2 siege tanks. But at this point, I feel like Lozzle is going to be sitting in a very uncomfortable position. I mean, at this point, this is his economy right now. He's going to be sitting off of these 3 mules and a handful of SCVs, trying to mine out his natural expansion, which basically has 100 to maybe 250 I guess minerals left on those patches. Really not an ideal situation. I'm gonna try and retake this 3rd expansion, but it's gonna be so difficult. He just lost his army, and now we can see another influx of Zerglings and Beetles gonna be coming in. Now his Marines have really fantastic upgrades, 3 already done, so that's gonna be one thing going in his favor. But at this point, those Marines are not gonna get any stronger. They already have stim, they already have combat shield, they already have 3-3. No more upgrades left for those Marines. He needs to make them in massive numbers now. He can't just try and make them more cost effective, and that's going to be a little bit difficult as Shusaku is going to have an opportunity to now catch up, and at the same time losing these Marines to the Mules. It doesn't matter how good your upgrades are if you just don't have enough Marines to actually kill off the Mules. But we do end up seeing a decent number of Marines. Unfortunately, no medevac, so every single one of these stims is actually going to be rather painful. The Mules actually feeling like they could just walk straight over the Marines. Not the best decision, but it looks like you tried to go in with the army, so didn't quite end up working out. It looks like all these roaches are actually going to get picked off, but at the same time, really, he's just freeing up supply, because, I mean, he has his Ultralisk incoming, he has +2 Carapace on the way, already has chitinous plating finished researching, I think. And let me go ahead and go over to, where is that? The Structures tab, the most awesome new tab in Heart of the Swarm for all of us spectators. But his is Ultralisk Cavern, and yes, in fact, we do end up seeing chitinous plating finished researching. Those Ultralisks are going to be super duper strong. Going to be sitting on +3 Carapace, I guess, in a way, because of that chitinous plating and the +1 armor. And here we end up seeing Ultralisks doing massive amounts of damage, as in Heart of the Swarm, they do a ton of damage to those Marines. They actually had a nice buff from Wings of Liberty, and they're going to be able to clean this up very easily, especially with the advantage of those banelings as well. And that is really going to cut back on the chances of Lozzle winning. And there's going to be the GG coming out from Lozzle. So Team IBM taking game number 1 in a really nice fashion. Just, I have to say, it came down to those two things. The Zerg player able to just completely pick off the Terran army over at this little choke over here. Able to just stop the Terran because of the choke and the location. It was very, very difficult for the Terran to actually split up his army against those Banelings, and the Banelings able to get right up and close and just smash the Terran army. And after that, being able to get those mules out and kill off 28 SCVs around in the main base and just having such a slow reaction from Lozzle, that was really just complete killing blow. After that, I feel like Lozzle was trying to play catch up the entire game, really not able to do it, and I don't really blame him. It's a very difficult situation to come back from. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into game number 2. Only one way to find out who's going to win that, and IBM sitting up currently 1-0. It's the best of 5 series, so I will see you guys in game number 2.